those examples, x is no longer one of the sides. They have a question mark on one of the angles. So when you're finding the angle, you're going to set it up the same way, but you use the inverse. So the inverse on the calculator, you press second, and whichever trig function you're using there. Okay, so let's set this one up. Number 15. Let's identify which sides we have here. So we're going to draw our little thing. We've got the hypotenuse. 51 is the hypotenuse. 31 is the opposite. So which trig function? Sine. Okay, sine of, let's use an x instead of putting a question mark in there. Okay, let's use an x is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. So whenever you have both those numbers, here's what we do. X is equal to the sine. It looks like a -1 exponent. Okay, it looks like a -1 exponent, but it's really not. What am I looking for? My calculator. All right, so we just hit second sine. So look how it puts exactly what we have written on our paper here, 31 over 51. And we get 37.4 degrees. Now, if you have reset your calculator at any point in time, you're going to have to put it back in degree mode. Okay, it's always got to be in degree mode when we're dealing with trig here. All you do. That's the answer. And that should always be less than 90 degrees. Because we already have a right angle in this triangle. The other two angles, they can't be greater than 90. All right, let's look at the next one. 35 is the hypotenuse. 32 is the opposite. So this is another sine. Sine of x is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Yes, you have to get that in the correct order. If you don't, then it's not going to give you the right angle. So second sine of 32 over 35. So x is 66.1. All right, let's look at number 17. 19 is the hypotenuse, the right angle is pointing right at it. 6 is the adjacent. Adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. Cosine of x is equal to the adjacent 6 over the hypotenuse 19. Guess what? If you don't set those up right, your calculator is going to give you an error message. If you put 19 over 6, let me just show you. This is not correct, but if you had put 19 over 6, your calculator won't do it. It gives you an error domain message. So you have to have that order correct. So x is 71.6 degrees. Okay, number 18. 8 is the hypotenuse. 4 is the adjacent. So it's cosine again. Cosine of x is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. I know at this point you could just type it into your calculator, but I think if you keep writing it, you're more likely to remember that's what you need to do if you need to use this on the final exam. And looky there, that one, excuse me, we didn't have to round. That one gave us an exact answer. Okay, let's look at 19 and 20 really quick, and then I'll let y'all practice again. Okay, neither one of those legs are our hypotenuse. So 44 is the adjacent. It's the one that the angle touches. 20 is the opposite. So we're talking about tangent. Tangent is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Now, you really have to make sure that you have the tangent set up correctly because it will not give you an error message like the sine and cosine will. Okay, you have to have the tangent set up correctly. So our angle here is 24.4. And number 20, 6 is our opposite, 13 is our adjacent, so tangent of our angle is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. So this angle is 24.8 degrees. Any questions?